Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road. Norwich City, of course, back in Championship action this afternoon, taking on Stoke here at Carrow Road, hoping to put what was probably a disappointing week last week, or ending, of course, with that draw at Hull behind them. We will bring you the team news as it drops in a couple of minutes' time, and obviously it feels quite important today that Norwich City get a win under their belts, given what the hope is for this season in some quarters. If they are going to make a dash for the top six, you've got to think that's got to start sooner rather than later. Paddy, let's come straight to you, and then obviously we'll cut across if the team news comes. But again, we're looking at a Norwich City team without Kenny McLean. I've crunched the numbers. It's one win in the last 16 without him in the team. That came on Boxing Day against Millwall. Obviously, we're hoping, expecting Marcelino Nunez to be back. No Mateo Jurasek. It's probably not the fitness update that we all hoped for yesterday.
No, certainly Jurasek. I mean, that's, even by Norwich's standards, that's good going. What did he play, 60-odd minutes at Hull, and he's out, albeit so Johannes conveyed only for this weekend. But yeah, in all seriousness, McLean, again, absent. But the flip side, I suppose, is Nunez coming in, and you'd expect, we don't know, but you'd expect he'll be in the 11. So that maybe negates it to a degree. I'm just more interested who gets the Jurasek shirt, if I'm honest. You know, there's three runners for me, as Onel, as Cernachin, as Dobbin. So
Schwartel?
Yeah, I suppose, but you've got three more recognised wide options. So on one of those three, you would think would get it. So given the Squirrel's not in the mix. So, yeah, that's where my gaze will be when the team news drops very, very shortly. But kind of, it's almost a shrug of the shoulders now, isn't it? You know, no McLean, no Jurasek. You know, unfortunately, that's the theme of the season, or rapidly becoming it.
Yeah, very, very stop-start indeed. And it's, we said sort of last week, the midfield combination, they're 17th in 33 games, and that kind of illustrates what this season has been. It's been probably about who hasn't been available more so than who has been available, which is probably the frustration, because you look at Norwich's quality in the squad. I think Robin Sainty wrote about this in his column this morning, and it was, I think, 37 combined starts that trio of McLean, Nunez and Marcondes have missed. Obviously, Sargent was unavailable for 16 games earlier on in the season as well. You put that all into a mix, and it does make any sort of consistency and rhythm and continuity very hard to achieve. And, particularly after what was a frustrating week, there's going to be an expectation for improvement here this afternoon. And as the clock turns to 2 o'clock, we have the team news. And here it is. Norwich City lineup with Gunn in goal. Fisher, Duffy, Cordoba and Mahovo as the back four. It's Nunez, Sorensen and Slimani as the midfield three. Dobbin and Sainz either side of Josh Sargent down the middle. The subs bench: George Long, Jack Stacey, Ben Cruzene, Ruari McConville, Jacob Wright, Oscar Schwartau, Elliot Miles, Onel Hernandez and Antti Sienat. So just to run through that team for you again: gunning goal, Fisher, Duffy, Cordoba and Mahovo as the back four. Nunez, Sorensen and Slimani as the midfield three. Dobbin on the right, Sainz on the left, Sargent up front. Your thoughts, Paddy?
As I said in my opening comments, who's going to get the nod? Dobbin would have been my shout. So I'm very happy to see that, because he hasn't really put his foot to the floor in terms of his performance levels or his output in terms of goals or assists. But I think there was enough evidence there that a little bit hard done by to come out the side. But then it's, Sainz and Jurasek were always probably going to be further ahead of him in the pecking order now, just by the nature of he's a lone player. So, but given one of those is unavailable today, yeah, that's for me the right call. Got to be honest, I thought Wright would retain his place, because again, it's about mid to longer term is the mantra. And having been thrown in, and I thought, as Johannes did, he got better and better at Hull, to dip him out again for Sorensen. I mean, he spoke about Sorensen at his pre-match yesterday and what he gives him and the reliability. Maybe he's erred on that side, given Nunez's fitness issues, Slimani to a degree as well, as only recently back. So you get, what you get with a Sorensen, albeit he's a man who's not a stranger to the fitness table, let's be honest. So that is a surprise. I thought he might retain Wright, because that is the player for the longer term. And having thrown him in at the deep end, you'd have thought off the back of an encouraging performance at Hull, back at Carrow Road, go again today. So, but yeah, for me, Dobbin definitely is the right call. You, Connor?
Yeah, agreed. I think he'd have been my preference on that side. Gets you a bit more pace, doesn't it? Particularly with, we've spoken about this before, the way Fisher inverts, it gives you a little bit more natural width on that side. So yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and that front three feels quite exciting. I mean, the midfield three, Paddy. Interesting. I think you could have made a case for Schwartau to be in there in Marcondes' absence. I know he spoke a little bit yesterday about Slimani doing that sort of connecting role between some of their deeper phases and the attacking phases, but it's not really a role that we've seen him occupy too consistently since he joined the club. Just worry that maybe there's a lack of spark in there. You're right. I'm also surprised that he's gone for Sorensen over Wright, and I guess the big thing is Nunez. But in terms of composition, I mean, who do you see sort of playing that deeper role? I guess we're probably looking at Nunez on the way that team lineup is laid out there by the club.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he tweaked it, didn't he? As we know, at Hull, he wasn't happy kind of that central area, that first 15 minutes, and the spaces, and not able to get up and press. Really, thereafter, it was more of a Wright and a Sorensen in a double pivot, I thought. So could you go with that today, Sorensen and Nunez, and release Slimani a little bit further forward? But yeah, you would expect, given that's where he's operated under Torop, that it'll be Nunez with the deep lying responsibility. I just worry about the lack of dynamism and mobility with Slimani and Sorensen in the mix there. Certainly Slimani very good technically, and it's a fair point, whereas Schwartau would give you a bit of running power through the middle of the park. So, but they've looked at it. I'm sure they've matched up with what they think Stoke will be good at, and maybe they feel this is the best way to go through central areas. If they have control, then you're looking then to release Sainz, you're looking to release Dobbin and Sargent. Maybe that's the game plan today. But yeah, of the three, you would think Nunez will be the deeper lying option.
Yes, indeed. Obviously, a huge chance for Jose Cordoba as well. Callum Doyle last weekend picking up his 10th yellow card of the Championship campaign, which carries a 2-game ban. So we're not going to see him today, and we're not going to see him next weekend at Blackburn either. Cordoba's had to be patient, hasn't he, really, since his red card at Sunderland. I don't think he's started a game since then.
Missing his alarm clock.
Yeah, missing his alarm clock. There's been sort of fitness issues that have, again, and maybe characteristic of any player joining Norwich. It seems to have plagued his campaign, prevented any sort of momentum from gathering after what was a pretty impressive start to his Norwich career, with him at left side and Doyle at left back. Doyle has sort of stepped into that and really made it his own since that red card at Sunderland. It's a huge opportunity for him after what's probably been some frustrating weeks, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I thought it was good how Johannes played that yesterday, that he'd almost pulled him, sat him down and said, look, don't see it in that lens and try and do something different and try and go over and above, just play your normal game, treat it as another game in that regard, and the performance level will take care of itself. And I think that is the right way to go today, because for those reasons, I think as much as there's a personal element to why he's not got more minutes, but that's probably the only area of this 11 there has been a reasonable degree of consistency week in, week out, Duffy and Doyle. And with the greatest respect, I think they have proven over the piece that they are the best two centre-backs in the current rank of available options. So if you're Cordoba, then I don't think you can have too many complaints. But, of course, he was in the side up until that Sunderland game, and very rash decision to go and chase a ball into midfield and got himself a second yellow. That's opened the door, and he's not been able to get himself back in, compounded by what happened pre-Watford and that disciplinary issue. So he certainly won't lack for motivation today, you would think. And it's now up for him today. Okay, it's Doyle's suspension that has allowed him an opportunity, but make it difficult over these next 2 games for Doyle to come straight back in. Don't make it an academic exercise by what you do in these next 2 games. And I think we'd seen enough from him early parts of the season. There's something to work with there at Championship level, particularly. His physical ability speaks for itself, but also, on the ball, I think he can grow into that role that Johannes, and that emphasis he places on his centre-backs to be comfortable in possession, certainly when they're trying to bait players and they're trying to deal with the high press. But he's probably, if you sat him down, I think, and the season stopped now, I don't think this was what he envisaged when he came in as, at that point, the big money summer signing from Levski. So hasn't got a plan for him, but that's the ups and downs. And if he has a strong finish this season, then Doyle goes back to Man City in the summer. Duffy's not getting any younger, then maybe what he does between now and May sets his stall out for next season.
Indeed. Let's bring you that Stoke 11. As I look down your team sheet, I can't see Ben Gibson on there. So he hasn't made it. This is how they line up. Johansson in goal, Tuamendi, Phillips, Rose and Stevens as their back four. Pearson and Seko, the midfield 2. Bay on the right, Moran on the left, Baker, behind Ipswich Town loanee Al Hamadi, who of course was playing Premier League football until January. Their subs bench: Jack Bonham, Andre Vidigal, Louis Kumas, Jordan Thompson, Ben Wilmot, Sam Gallagher, Nathan Lowe, Emery Tezgal and Emilian Manhoef as well, which means Val Berger doesn't make it. Very influential midfielder for them. He doesn't start. Ben Pearson has just come back from a pretty lengthy spell on the sidelines. I know Sam Gallagher's been out. I think Manhoef as well has just come back. So them themselves are having to deal with injury. Someone that obviously you have a great affection for in Mark Robbins in the dugout, Paddy. And again, probably similar to Preston, you would anticipate that they're going to come here with a game plan and a design that is I guess, built to try and halt Norwich City's momentum and chance creation abilities, and probably one that will be quite happy with allowing them possession of the football.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I mean, I've got the table in front of me. They're only at kick-off 5 points clear of the bottom three. They're firmly in it. And that's a little surprising because if you look at their last 11 games, they've only lost 2, but they've drawn too many games. But that in itself tells you whether it was a coach we know well in Pelach or it's now Mark Robbins at Stoke. They're very hard to beat. You know, they don't roll over. And certainly that was a lot of Robbins' DNA that he put into his various teams he built at Coventry. That they might not have had the quality of the opponents, but on any given day, they would certainly battle and they would certainly collectively make it very difficult. And as he's a relatively new manager in post there still, I think those players will still be looking to impress him. And in that regard, a bit of a parallel with Derby maybe. I know they hadn't appointed Eustace at that point, but when they came here, they'd made the change, Warney out, and those players were playing for their futures. And that's clearly the same with Stoke. You know, Manhoef was very good in the reverse fixture. He's only on the bench today. I'm surprised at that. As you say, no Berger or Gibson. So feels like there's a bit of a shifting plates round Stoke. But what you know with Mark Robbins, because he proved it at Coventry, he will, I think, in time, given the backing that you can call on there as well with the Coates family, I think Stoke will become a decent outfit. Certainly one competitive in terms of competing for the top 6. But not maybe at this stage. Maybe he's just still making his decisions on various players, and that might explain some of the in and outs in that matchday squad today. But you know, I've seen plenty of comments today. Today is Norwich have to do the business. A draw, clearly, heaven forbid, a defeat, simply not good enough. Bristol have done the job last night, got the better of a Middlesbrough team and got themselves into that top 6 because of what Norwich haven't done in the last 2 or 3 games. Really, for me today, a win is the be all and end all. How they get it doesn't matter. How big that win is doesn't matter. They just have to get the 3 points if they are realistic about remaining in this playoff pack, because now we're in moving territory. Bristol, as I say, won last night. There'll be teams in and around that 6 to 12 pack today who will pick up results. And the result of not winning a game in the last 3 is Norwich are now losing a little bit of connection to that top 6. So for all those reasons, this is a big game today. Absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah, it feels a bit now or never, doesn't it, really, in terms of, as you say, some of those teams moving, and they will continue to move, you would think. I don't know what the latest is at Sunderland. Not that that's really relevant to Norwich, I guess, but it goes to show, I guess, how those teams towards the bottom as well, and Stoke will be the same, are fighting for results, and, yeah, still 1-0 to hold there. And you know, Millwall, who aren't a million miles away from Norwich, drawing 0-0 at Derby. So, at the moment, if they could win, like you say, that 2-point gap has turned into a 5-point gap in the last week or so through their missed opportunities. But we know what this league is like. A couple of wins and you can.
Well, I mean, Middlesbrough got beat last night. Sheffield Wednesday got beat last night. So you're climbing over 2, irrespective of what else happens. That's
work off today.
Cov at home to Preston.
Right.
Okay.
So that again, I mean, we know how difficult that is, having seen Preston here a couple of weeks ago, but that feels achievable for them and the run that they're on. You look at West Brom. Where are West Brom today, Adam? Do we know if you can find that? They are at home to Oxford. So again, you're looking at those two probably. You need to keep in touch with them. Obviously, they go to Blackburn next week. That's going to be a big game. So when you do these calculations, it becomes sort of imperative, really, that Norwich City get a result today, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and particularly here as well, because as much as it's been those words, some people are getting a bit sick and tired of it in transition and strategy and project and things like that. One of the constants has been they've still been very good at Carrow Road. That's where they've built their base. They've picked up a lot of their points at home, and most of their best performances have been here at home under Torop. But in the last 2 games, they've taken 1 point from Derby and Preston, and what you certainly don't want is that to continue today, that regressive trend, and then it becomes a bigger issue in terms of not so much the playoff picture, because I think you would have to sort of concede that that's receding into the distance. But they certainly don't want to, having been so good at Carrow Road in the main under Torp, you don't want that to tail off going into the summer. And obviously, what we hope is, you know, a far more competitive season next season.
How do you see it going today?
Well, as I say, I mean, you would think Torp, Riddlesome, Wiltshire are drilling into these players that it is, as you said, now or never today, particularly off the back of the last 3 results, particularly off the back of the last 2 games here. Less excuses in terms of players' availability. Okay, McLean would come into that 11, wouldn't he? Jurasek, maybe not so much. But take McLean out, that's most of the biggest hitters. Obviously, Doyle would come into that as well. So I don't think that washes today to say that we're missing key players beyond McLean, maybe. So for me, it's all there. You know, Stoke under Robbins, team finding their way. And if you're realistic about really making an assault on the top 6, you have to win this game today. 2-0 Norwich.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-1. I agree with you. I think it'll be tight. And, Stoke haven't... Are they the... joint lowest scorers in the Championship. You look at some of their underlying numbers. I mean, whether you subscribe to XG or not, they scored 3 goals from 0.9 XG last week, which isn't indicative of a free scoring side. Let's put it that way. So you'd think if Norwich City can at least keep that end shut, hopefully they'll get opportunities to create with the front 3 that we've spoken about, with Sainz, with Sargent, with Dobbin. So I'm going to go for a marginal Norwich City win. But that is the most important thing, that they win here today, and that we're not talking about another missed opportunity, because I think then increasingly the season begins to drift a little bit, and you're sort of longing it to end, and I don't think any of us want to be in that stage. It certainly didn't feel like we were going to be in that place post Watford. So yeah, let's hope we're not there this afternoon. Of course, we'll have all the coverage, all the analysis, all the reaction from Yanis off Torp and all the key players from this afternoon's game over at pinken.com throughout the afternoon. I'm on the live blog if you want to join kick by kick coverage of the game. And let's hope we are talking about Norwich City returning to winning ways at Carrow Road come 5 o'clock this evening. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.